He's the most sick and twisted WWE superstar ever. Randy Orton, aka the man known as the Viper or the Legend Killer, has had one of the greatest careers of any WWE superstar in history. With 14 world title wins, it would be laughable to try and nail down one singular prime for someone so successful. However, the whole point of the series is to nail down one prime for every WWE superstar. We're just gonna make this one a little bit longer than most. So after careful analyzation, I determined the prime of Randy Orton began January 12th of 2009, where Legacy was officially formed, all the way up until November 3rd, 2014, where he was stretchered off after a Seth Rollins curb stomp. I know, long prime, like I said, but honestly, man, this guy was just unbelievable during this time. There's like one average year in this span. Unlike most people, Randy Orton was a well-established main eventer before his prime, which began with the creation of Legacy after him, along with Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr., attacked Sim Snuka and Manu after an episode of Monday Night Raw on January 12th of 2009. Now, one of the important things to note here was Manu was originally a part of Legacy, but basically was replaced by Ted DiBiase Jr. But on the January 19th episode of Monday Night Raw, we got to see the birth of 09 Viper Randy Orton as after a confrontation with Vince and Stephanie McMahon regarding an apology or termination of contract, Randy Orton attacked Vince McMahon and punted him right in the skull. A week later, with the assistance of Legacy, Randy Orton won the 2009 Royal Rumble, last eliminating Triple H. Triple H would play a key role in this story later on, but right now we have other McMahons to deal with. Because Stephanie McMahon would announce the return of her brother Shane, and a no-holds-barred match would be established for No Way Out. Randy would win the no-holds-barred match, but an unsanctioned match would be scheduled for the next Raw, one that saw a no-contest end after Randy Orton punted Shane unconscious and unable to continue. You can kind of see this menace Randy Orton really start to form in 2009, because anytime he disagreed with somebody, he just kicked them right in the dome. Stephanie would run down to the ring to try and plead with Randy to stop hurting Shane, but as I said, menace, because he RKO'd her right to the mat. Triple H claimed this is when things got personal, because Stephanie, his real-life wife, was threatened with a lawsuit if she fired Randy Orton because Randy claimed he had intermittent explosive disorder, IED for short. Randy Orton would claim he wanted to take everything from Triple H, similar to how Triple H took everything from him back in 2004 when he kicked him out of Evolution. So Randy Orton challenged Triple H for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Given the fact that he won the Royal Rumble, he had that right. Now, we all know the story. Randy Orton would lose at WrestleMania, and the match honestly wasn't great. However, we still had the greatest moment in WWE history as Triple H broke into Randy Orton's house with a sledgehammer. But Randy Orton would win the WWE Championship at Backlash after winning a six-man tag match against Shane McMahon, Triple H, and the returning Batista, so he was now the WWE Champion. He would lose the title to Batista at Extreme Rules, but as I said, this man is a menace because Orton, along with Legacy, would break Batista's arm, forcing him to vacate the title. Orton would regain the title after winning a fatal four-way match against The Big Show, Triple H, and John Cena, and would continue to successfully defend his title against Triple H due to constant Legacy interference. So as you could see, Randy during this time had the mindset of, oh, this guy's in my way, oh, this guy's causing me problems, injure him. Orton would then compete against John Cena in a series of matches, including Hell in a Cell, I Quit, and an Iron Man match, the latter being the final match with Cena keeping the title after the feud. Orton would then have a mini feud with Kofi Kingston and inevitably gain the right to challenge Sheamus for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. After he was disqualified because of Cody Rhodes' interference, Orton would freak out, disband Legacy, and attack Cody Rhodes and DiBiase after the match. DiBiase and Orton would compete in an Elimination Chamber match, and DiBiase would hit Orton with a steel pipe, courtesy of Cody Rhodes, costing Orton a chance at a WWE Championship shot at WrestleMania. This would lead to a triple threat between the members of Legacy at WrestleMania, one that Randy Orton came away the victor of. A little shocking, to be honest, because usually in this time, veterans would put over a younger talent, so maybe they would have put over like a Cody Rhodes here. But no, they gave it to Randy, which is totally okay because Randy's just goated. 2010 was probably the weakest year of Randy Orton's prime, as he would fail to win the Money in the Bank and lose multiple WWE Championship opportunities. However, he would inevitably win it at Night of Champions in a six-pack challenge and would begin his feud against Wade Barrett, who at the time was the leader of Nexus and blackmailing John Cena, Orton's rival, to help him win the title from Orton. The storyline involving John Cena versus the Nexus was so compelling at this time, and the complex rivalry/friendship of Randy Orton and Cena made it even better in my eyes. minutes. However, a Money in the Bank cash-in by The Miz would end Randy Orton's time as WWE Champion, considering he lost all his rematches against him as well. After this, Randy Orton would start a feud with CM Punk and the New Nexus during the Elimination Chamber match. It would lead to a match between Orton and Punk at WrestleMania 27, where Orton would get the win. They would battle one last time in Extreme Rules in a last man standing match, where Orton would once again win, ending the feud. On May 6th, Randy Orton would begin one of his most underrated feuds as he defeated Christian to win the World Heavyweight title. This led to many matches over the summer against Christian, flip-flopping the World Heavyweight title between the two. Christian played the heel in this feud, and he did it incredibly, constantly looking for cheap ways to win, including forcing Randy Orton into a disqualification and complaining about bad officiating. Orton would end the feud on August 30th SmackDown by winning a steel cage match against Christian after hitting this RKO. I always say this feud is underappreciated because the roles were reversed. Randy Orton, who was typically an amazing heel, was an amazing babyface this time. But Christian, who was typically an amazing babyface, became an incredible heel. And honestly, in WWE, you learn not everybody can do both, so this was just even more impressive on both ends. Randy Orton would then drop his World Heavyweight title to Mark Henry during Henry's Hall of Pain gimmick, where he was doing the best work of his career. Orton would not regain the title during this feud after losing a few rematches after former Legacy teammate Cody Rhodes costing him the final opportunity he had. After this, Orton would go on to have a few mid-tier feuds, which including reigniting his rivalry with Wade Barrett, suffering a concussion at the hands of World Heavyweight Champion Daniel Bryan, and losing his WrestleMania 28 match against Kane, even though Orton would inevitably win that feud. Honestly, if you wanted to end his prime prior to all these mid-feuds, I wouldn't blame it. He goes on to feud with Dolph Ziggler, who was Mr. Money in the Bank, and Alberto Del Rio, both which left a lot to be desired. However, his feud after that is why I say we have to include all this mid-tier stuff in his prime. Because Randy Orton would be attacked by the Shield, and it would lead to a 6-man tag match at WrestleMania, where the Big Show, Sheamus, and Randy Orton would take on all 3 members of the Shield, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. Now, Big Show was feuding with both Randy Orton and Sheamus at the time, so he knocked out both of them, which allowed the Shield to pick up the win at WrestleMania. Orton and Sheamus would continue their feud against the Big Show, and Orton would inevitably win the last one-on-one between him and the Big Show at Extreme Rules, ending that feud. But the reason I wanted to include all this is because I just wanted everybody to remember this is where we first started seeing the interactions between Randy Orton and the members of the Shield, and this foreshadowed some of the best work Randy Orton would do in his career with the Authority. Fast forward to the June 14th SmackDown, Randy Orton would team up with Team Hell No of Daniel Bryan and Kane to hand the Shield their first legal loss. Orton and Bryan would then team up to try and win the tag team titles from Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, which they would fail to do. It would lead to a rare feud that Randy Orton would lose against Daniel Bryan, the final match including Orton submitting to Daniel Bryan's yes lock with a kendo stick. However, Randy Orton would reestablish himself next month by winning the Money in the Bank. While still technically a babyface at this time, he would turn full heel on August 18th at SummerSlam, where he would cash in the Money in the Bank on a helpless Daniel Bryan, who was attacked by special guest referee Triple H after just winning the WWE Championship. And thus, the Authority was formed. While the Authority may have overstayed their welcome a bit, the constant suppressing of Daniel Bryan inevitably led to one of the greatest moments in WWE history. But before we get there, it's important to note that Daniel Bryan had actually defeated Randy Orton to win the championship back at Night of Champions. However, Triple H would strip Daniel Bryan of the title due to a fast count by referee Scott Armstrong. While Orton wasn't given the title back immediately, he defeated Daniel Bryan to win the vacant WWE Championship when special guest referee Shawn Michaels hit a sweet chin music on Bryan in return for attacking Triple H. After this, Daniel Bryan would go on to handle his own business, while Randy Orton and John Cena agreed to a title unification match. Everybody that knows me knows I hate title unification matches because it's all setting up for this big climax of a match where one guy's going to walk away with the 2 most important titles, and then he's only going to show up on one show, probably not even show up on every show. It's like just all this build up for one big match, and then everything afterwards just sucks because you have one guy clogging both titles. Roman Reigns. Orton would defeat Cena in a TLC match to become the first ever WWE World Heavyweight Champion and the final World Heavyweight Champion, at least for the moment. Even though I hate title unification matches, I still think this match is slept on. After successfully retaining the title against Cena at the Royal Rumble and winning his Elimination Chamber match, Orton was ready to face the Royal Rumble winner and friend/rival Batista at WrestleMania 30. However, in a shocking chain of events, WWE did something they didn't really do too much at that time. Listen to the fans. Because there was only one man that WWE fans cared about at this time, and that was Daniel Bryan and his Yes Movement. Bryan would challenge Triple H at WrestleMania, and the stipulation was that if Daniel Bryan were to beat Triple H, he would be added to Batista versus Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then the second this was announced, we all knew Daniel Bryan was going to beat Triple H, and we all knew inevitably he would win the title at WrestleMania. So what is the importance of this in Randy Orton's prime? Because a major part of his prime was Randy Orton's match quality. And this is, without a doubt, the best WrestleMania match of his career and potentially the best match of his career. So with Daniel Bryan beating the two at WrestleMania, a match would be set up between Triple H and Daniel Bryan for Bryan's WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Orton and Batista would attack Daniel Bryan before the match. However, before Triple H could secure the win, the Shield would come out and attack Triple H and the rest of the Authority. In the coming weeks, Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton would start entering to the theme music of their legendary faction, Evolution. They would compete against the Shield at Extreme Rules and Payback. However, they would lose both of those matches. However, in one of the most shocking moments in WWE history, Triple H revealed that there's always a plan B, as Seth Rollins, the architect of the Shield, had become a member of the Authority, as we saw Seth Rollins hit Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose in the back with the steel chair. Now back to Randy Orton. The Authority would put Orton in the ladder match for the vacant WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank, in which Orton would fail to win. He would also lose another shot at the title after Roman Reigns attacked him, setting up a SummerSlam match in which would be another loss for the Viper. At this time, it seemed pretty obvious that Randy's time at the top would be dwindling, as it was very clear that Seth Rollins was going to be pushed as the main guy of the Authority, as he was the winner of the 2014 Money in the Bank. After Randy Orton asked the Authority for a chance at the loser of John Cena and Dean Ambrose's no-holds-barred contract on a pole match, that's a mouthful, Triple H would set up a Hell in a Cell match between John Cena and Randy Orton, given the fact that Ambrose beat Cena. Orton promised to make Triple H proud, but we could already see the cracks in the foundation. Because after a handicap match later that night, pinning Ambrose and Cena versus Rollins, Orton, and Kane, Rollins would stun Randy Orton after their victory with a curb stomp. Even though he would lose to Cena in Hell in a Cell, if you know Randy Orton, he wouldn't take that Rollins attack lying down, as Orton would attack Rollins on the October 27th episode of Raw, turning babyface, and the following week attack him again during his Intercontinental title match against Dolph Ziggler. Now, in order for the Authority to remain on Randy Orton's good side, Triple H would grant Randy Orton a one-on-one match against Rollins to settle their differences. However, this would signal the end, as Rollins would defeat Orton, provoking the Viper to attack the Authority before they had the chance to attack him. But the numbers would get the best of Orton, as Rollins was able to hit a bloodied Orton with a curb stomp on the steel steps. After the scripted injury, Randy Orton would take a 3-month hiatus to go film The Condemned 2, which for me, I felt was the perfect time to signal the end of the prime of Randy Orton. But I mean, if you really want to, you could include his returning WrestleMania match versus Seth Rollins, where he hit arguably the greatest RKO ever. I chose not to because I felt like at that point I'm adding about 7 months, the whole prime's over 6 years, 3 of those months he's not even wrestling. I just felt like it was too much. Over the span of his prime, Randy Orton won 9 total world titles, 3 world heavyweight titles, and 6 WWE championships, was a Royal Rumble winner, a Money in the Bank winner, and became the Baltimore Sun's Wrestler of the Year in 2009. Now, you know we have to give this prime a grade, and honestly, there's no reason to give this prime any grade other than an A+. I mean, the guy led factions, won a Royal Rumble, won 9 world titles, won a Money in the Bank, you name it, he did it. His prime was incredible. It gets an A+. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on those bell notifications, and let me know in the comments below who you guys want me to cover the prime of next. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm The Wrestling Truth, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.